Hello everyone and welcome to my month 10 update for my Korean learning journey. I'm going to jump absolutely straight into this because I was yapping to my notes for the last 20 minutes and I realized I never actually hit the record button, so I now have to talk all over again, which is a little bit annoying, but apologies if I'm a little bit rushed now. But anyway, start off with the stats. We're at 3,082 known words now, plus 721, which is awesome. I'm not going to read all of this out loud because I will show instead of storytelling techniques, Anyway, let's look at Anki for now. Go into the stats. Here's everything. We're at like 336 average reviews per day. I usually spend like an hour to an hour and a half reviewing my flashcards, which is tolerable at this point. It is tolerable. I wouldn't say it's thrilling, but it's tolerable. So there's some stats if you're interested. As well as I haven't finished my reviews for today. As you can see, not finished yet. So I will do that after, of course. But did every day this month of February. I might as well, while I'm in the Anki screen, I might as well just show my setup right now. So like, if I go to my kimchi reader deck, this is what this looks like. So I have like the sentence on the front, the word to learn, and on the back. Got the word audio using 11 labs, and then definition that ChatGPT makes, the kimchi reader definition that I selected when I mined it, the pronunciation, hanja, and what part of speech it is, whether it's like a noun, 명사's noun, etc. And I've got the same setup for pretty much every deck, like Retro's intermediate deck. Same setup, which isn't actually like in the retro intermediate template. Like you don't have, all you have is like the bolded word. So I sort of added all the stuff with ChatGPT, made sure to get Korean, the chaotic definitions and pronunciations and stuff in there, which I think just expanded on that deck quite a lot. Same for the beginner one, and same for the refill deck too. Same sort of thing, right? I'll show this one too. So that's the refilled one too. So I guess I've like just expanded on a bunch of these decks and just made them suit the style that I like. I've also been using like the idiomatic expressions deck. We've got a grammar deck too, and a Hanja deck. I'll put the links for these decks in the description. So these have been a big help to getting started with Hanja as well, and keeping my grammar refreshed and up to date. Good. I only do like 2 grammar new cards a day, 2 new Hanja cards a day, 1 new idiomatic expression. The minimal repairs trainer is long done for new cards. For kimchi I do 15. I was doing 20 and 25, but I just dropped it down until I finished Retro's intermediate. Retro's intermediate is 25 new cards a day, and everything else, these 3 are no new cards needed. What's next? Let's look at my hours. So actually, let's look at kimchi reader stats first. So that's my kimchi reader stats, 3,082 known words. And we look at the nice, pretty graph. You'll see there is a dip at 90 days here, which I will talk about why there's a dip. Actually, is it here? Oh, it is here too. Yeah, you can see it here. I'll talk about why there is a dip, but you can see how that's changed, which is, it's fun to look at and see the progress, I guess. I've made some pretty good progress over the last few months, I think, which is good. Slowly working back my vocabulary to where it should be, I guess. I'm so pretty happy with that. Yeah. Oh, and hours too, of course. This is last month, 79 hours, not as much as the previous month, but only a few hours off really. So decent enough. I really wish I got more like active immersion hours in. Like you can see, like my Anki reviews almost match, like 46%, 7 plus 41, like my active immersion hours. So it's like 50-50 split right now, which I think is fine. But like, yeah, I do wish I got more active immersion in. But I guess to some extent you can count Anki as being somewhat active if you're doing it properly, right? But regardless, let's look at the last 12 months. So we're at 779 total hours now, almost at 800, slowly working my way to 1000. So I would love to get like 2.5 hours, the daily 2.5 hours up to 3, but I don't know if it's really possible and feasible right now. But if I could get this up to 100 hours a month, each month, that would be great. Like you can see, I managed it here. However, if you look at like without passive, right, you do all but passive, you can see that in reality, it is pretty even, just because these 2 months had a lot of passive immersion. But I am still like on the higher end of the each month, I guess, right now, if you know what I mean. Sorry, I've recorded this twice. This is my second time trying to record this, and it's quite late, so I'm a little bit tired. So apologies if my sentences make no sense. It's what happens. Throughout the month, so I have this script that I run over my Anki cards that determines whether I should mark the word as known or seen in Kimchi Reader. And in the past, I marked it as known if the interval was over 21 days, which Anki considers it mature. However, if you use FSRS, then depending on your desired retention, the intervals can be quite long, even for a new card, and depending on your review history of that deck. And so it was often marking words that were known that I only had seen like once or twice in Anki, and I couldn't recall the meaning of them in immersion. So instead of treating like cards as with an interval of over 21 days as mature, if its FSRS stability is over 21 days, then I mark it as mature. So that actually reduced at the time, it reduced my known words to 2,138. So I think it dropped it off, like, if I look at the stats again, it dropped it down quite a lot. Like we went from, We went from 2,462 to 2,137. So we lost 300 known words there that got transferred to seen. So that's why that happened. And I think that's just better because I kept coming across words that were marked as known. I was like, I've only seen that once or twice. I don't know it. I don't remember the name, the meaning in immersion. So it should really be seen. So that made making 1T sentences, flashcards with true 1T sentences much easier. I also had my first tutoring lesson. I was pretty nervous at the first, but it wasn't too bad. And the tutor said my pronunciation was really impressive, which I was surprised and happy to hear because I was worried my pronunciation was going to suck. So I was really kind of pleasantly surprised, and it did boost my confidence a little. But during the Korean conversation, I understood everything he said. I actually have done 2 tutoring lessons, and I have my 3rd tomorrow. And even in the second one, I understood everything the tutor said. But responding in Korean is very hard and challenging, but hopefully with more practice, I will get better at it. On the 27th, I also hit 3,000 known words. That was only a few days ago. Let's go through my sort of reflection. Happy I started tutoring, done 2 lessons so far, have my 3rd tomorrow, as I already mentioned. It's good to have someone to practice verbal conversations with, and having a second pair of eyes or ears, if you want to say, on my pronunciation. Also good looking at like the conversation and dialogue and words I haven't come across yet in my immersion that you would actually come across in real life scenarios. So it's good getting exposure to that and being able to make flashcards for them. But I didn't really, in terms of output, I didn't really continue journaling or doing like video journals, or I didn't try VR chat. So I hope I can do more of that in this month of March, because I do want to shift more of my focus onto output now. So it's a shame I didn't do that much this February. I didn't get as many hours in as I was hoping this month. I was a bit busier than expected, and I also spent some of my spare time on the League of Legends ranked grind. Unfortunately, I know, how could I? Which did take away from my immersion hours. But I did make sure to play in Korean with Korean text and Korean audio, despite the fact that it's a game that requires so much focus, so I probably wasn't paying attention to any of it. But regardless, my hours were still close to that of January and December, so it's not too bad, really. Hitting 3,000 known words on Kimchi Reader is pretty huge, I think. Nice achievement. But when I scroll through that list of known words, some without the context of a sentence, some of those words are hard to identify, which I think is a few reasons. One, like, naturally, I'm memorizing Anki cards and sentences more than the target itself, but in reality, I don't think you can really stop that. The more reviews you do of a card, the more naturally you're going to remember the card and what the word associated to that card and sentence means than what that word means in isolation. But I will say a lot of those words are ones that are from Retro's intermediate vocabulary deck, which is interesting because some of them are useful words that I haven't come across in my immersion. So it's good to that's a good useful word to use and learn. But for a lot of the words, I'm wondering, even after reviewing it in that deck, I've never heard it or seen that word ever again in my immersion. It's only in Anki where I see that word. So really, how useful is it? But regardless, it's probably like a good gap filler. And I only have 2 more weeks left of reviews for that deck. Like, if I click it, there's only 12 more days of new cards. Sorry, not reviews, but 12 more days of new cards left. Because I'm going at 25 per day. So I'm kind of powering through that deck right now. So it's a good gap filler. But despite really not getting that many hours in this month, I feel like I have improved slightly over the last month. So I think like the major help has been that I've been immersing in like no subtitled high comprehension beginner content each day, like maybe 30 minutes per day, and I make flashcards for them as usual. And then I'll like mass download the YouTube videos using YouTube DLP and make condensed audio using subs to CIA to put on my phone. So then I listen to that when I'm driving and stuff. I think above 95% comprehension seems to be a pretty good sweet spot for pure listening immersion. And I've just been using Kimchi Reader to sort by comprehension on some learner channel content that I like. So I can show that actually. If I go to Discover and I go to like Diddy's podcast, for example, and I sort by comprehension, you can see that this one's got 97%, so I know 97% of the words there. And I've started because I've already watched it. And same with this one, I've started, I've already watched it. And so I want to watch probably these 3 next. So I haven't started them. And I will just listen to them without looking at subtitles, and I'll make flashcards for them. Because I think 95% feels pretty good for listening in terms of comprehension. And I think that's been good, just going through like some of the popular learner channels, and because I never really did much learner content. I kind of jumped straight into the deep end with not comprehensive input with dramas, when I probably should have like done beginner content and focus on that so much more than dramas and like native level content. So I guess if I was to do it all again, I probably would not watch dramas at all really and just do beginner content. But regardless, where I'm at now, I'm really happy with, so I can't complain really and wish I did anything different, because sometimes I just forget that I'm like listening to things in Korean. I'm like, oh, I understood that, no problem. Like sometimes it just comes just naturally to me, and I'm like, wow, did I really just not think about that at all and just understood that entire sentence? It just happened. I think I'm starting to have a lot of those moments over the last 1 to 2 months where I'm like, wow, I do understand Korean to some extent, right? So I made it. Look, Mom, I made it. But yeah, long way away from fluency or anything like that. But like, I guess understanding sentences feels pretty huge without much not hyper focused in on trying to understand, like just effortlessly understanding sentences here and there and dialogue. It just feels so nice. So I'm like starting to hit that sweet spot where things are becoming easier, which I think it's so important. I underestimated so much in the past how important it is actually immersing in content that's comprehensible. Like, it doesn't have to be super basic CI content. Like 95% plus. It just helps so much. So even now for me at my level, still making sure I spend some time in that like beginner content is just a huge help, I think. So wish I did that earlier. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. That's the stats, I guess. I won't read them out loud because we've already sort of seen them visually, but here's what I immersed in. Some dramas. Finished One Spring Night. That was pretty good. Easy dialogue. Easy for a drama, I guess. Like, I wouldn't say it's nowhere near as easy as 19 to 20. But I would suggest if you're near my level, maybe like my number of hours or my level, that maybe shifting off dramas a bit if you have been. But 19 to 20, oh my goodness, I'm only 1 to 2 episodes in, but I wish I watched this earlier. It's so easy to comprehend, clear audio, perfect for immersion. 10 out of 10 immersion quality, would recommend. And I probably will watch like Singles Inferno next because it will have lots of natural conversation in it too. As much as I'd rather watch like a drama just because it's more entertaining and fun. I'm not really like big on dating shows, but it could be interesting, could be fun. Like, I just want to get more used to natural conversation, being exposed to it rather than like the dramatic nature of drama, dialogue, and the complexity within that. In terms of movies, Lost in Starlight, I rewatched this for the 3rd or 4th time. I like this movie. It's pretty. It's got some pretty animation, and the audio quality of the dialogue is really nice because, as given that it's animation, it's like recorded in the studio, so it always sounds crisp. And my profile picture is actually from that movie. Fun fact. I watched Even If This Love Disappears tonight, which is new, finished, super easy dialogue and plot. Definitely recommend. Like, perfect. Good watch. And I've been watching Tale of Cinema, which I haven't finished. It seems okay. It's an old movie, I think from like the early 2000s, maybe 2003, 2004. The audio quality is pretty rough. Like, it's very compressed. There's lots of background noise of cars and stuff like that. So it's hard to listen to in that way, but the dialogue is simple nonetheless. It does reference self-harm and there are not safe for work scenes, so do be careful. Still reading my book, almost 90% through, and it's just funny to look back and think that when I started this book, I could barely understand anything. Like, I would find like maybe a sentence every few pages where I understood. And this is another case of me immersing in content that's too hard. But now when I read it, like, I follow along well enough not to get lost. Like, if I look at my comprehension on the Kimchi reader for it, if I go by books, because I'm sure it's here. This one, I'm at 91%, right? Which is, I mean, I would love to be at like 95, 96, 98 for a book, but like at my level, it's just not reasonable right now. Like, the highest I can get is literally 91. So, yeah, but that's just, hopefully I'll get there. And I can't really help that really. Other than reading some books that are more like children books that aren't actually on here, Kimchi Reader. But yeah, pretty good. Slowly getting through it. But yeah, some of the sentences are on occasion like pretty long, dragged out and complex, and I can't quite grasp the meaning of it. But for most stuff, I get it. I can follow along the plot. Maybe I miss details here and there, but I follow along the plot and what's happening. But I reckon at some point I'd probably read it again. Maybe after like a few more books, I'd go back and read it just to see, oh yeah, what did I actually miss? Usual YouTube content, learner channels. But I didn't really immerse much in content made for names on YouTube, but I did watch some of the videos from channels I mentioned last week too. But really, that's sort of it. So I've almost yapped for 20 minutes again, somehow, when I thought like I wrote so much less this time, but I guess I kept talking about my stats and stuff. So I'm gonna end it here because it's time for bed, and I need to finish my reviews, right? So we can't let this sit here. I gotta finish it off. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it heaps. If you have any questions or you know, any questions or recommendations of content or just anything, feel free to write a comment. And I'll see you in month 11 at the end of March. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.